customer experience hyper-personalization. I mean, when you speak about personalization, okay, the dark side of that was what Mr. Yadav was so articulate with us over the last 20 or 30 minutes. Attacks that are aimed at you based on your behavior. Similarly, a lot of things that we do on the net, over the channels and the devices that we use, are also an outcome of our behavior. That is personalization. What is hyper-personalization though? I mean, I'd love to hear from you rather than me giving probably a chat GPT kind of an answer of what hyper-personalization or customer experience is. Anybody who would, from the audience would like to take a dig at what hyper-personalization is? Anyone? Well, let us put it this way. Hyper-personalization as per ChatGPT is about products, services, and offerings that are curated, bespoke, basis the service offering of a particular organization aimed at you throughout the entire cycle or day within your life. What we are talking about today and this particular event is a very, how do I put it, and please excuse me, a very cut and dry aspect of our life, which is finance. So how does CX, how does hyper-personalization affect us, and what are the tenets? Okay, love to hear from these four dignitaries. My first question to each one of you, in fact, is you four stalwarts. How can finance be made sexy for a customer, okay, in terms of personalization? Let's start with Amlan.
See, finance in itself is very appealing. I may come to you and tell you, do you want this shirt? You may say yes or you may say no. I come to you and tell you that, do you want money? Most probably your answer would be yes. So it in itself is very attractive when it comes to finance.
If you're not going to charge interest, certainly yes.
Yeah. So that's what. When we say finance in itself is very attractive. Even if I'm charging interest, there are people who are willing to take money at any interest because money is something which is very closely related to your need at that particular point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very attractive. How to make it more attractive with hyper-personalization is that you understand when you need the money and offer him or give him that nudge at that particular time that, boss, I understand that you need this money and I'm here to help. I understand that you need this particular insurance and I'm here to help. I understand that you need to invest and I'm here to help. So if you understand the right time and the right kind of product at that particular moment, that's hyper-personalization. And that will definitely make it very attractive.
Srivaths. Sorry, before you answer that question, a quick thing. When do I need? What do I need? How do you decide that as a technologist?
It's all need-based. When you have an interaction, discussion with the audience with whom you need to give your products and services, the first thing that you need to do is need-based analysis. That's how you come to know from a technologist perspective. Now, when I say audience, the audience may be internal within your organization. It may be anyone who is there in the ecosystem who is directly, indirectly connected to you. And to answer your first question about the finance, the underlying product or the underlying journey of any financial instrument is currency. And if you look at currency, the currency is the primary medium today, whether it is digital or whether it is physical, which is very important for you to fulfill the needs in terms of products and services. When I say fulfilling the needs of products and services, it talks about self-consumption, it talks about trade, transactions, both domestic, international, but the underlying part is currency to fulfill the basic necessities and needs, and then goes your luxury, aspirations, and Maslow's hierarchy theory. So why finance is sexy is because the underlying terminology of currency, which is standardized in the form of a trade and fulfillment. That's the reason why finance is very important. to pursue products and services overlaid about it.
I'd like Shiv Kumar to answer that from a point of view, saying that when you actually look at acquisition of customers, we're talking about aspirations, we're talking about needs, we're talking about wants. How do you look at it from an acquisition or an alliance part of it?
So when it comes to acquisitions, actually, what we do, the database of the investments done for so many years actually. If you see the industry which I am working is mutual fund industry. When it comes to last 20, 30 years, it started with UTI. There are a lot of new players which come in. So there is a lot of database and data is available in the market. And when it comes to our industry, like we are backed by the banks. So bank again have a lot of database, but they never share with us. But our database system itself is approximately 1.30 crores of investors. That is the retail base which we manage. So with the analysis, we understand that what is the need of the investors actually. So how the investors behave, how much time they invest, what pattern they invest, which months they invest. So we start communicating with that investors with various modes, like with marketing and with various analysis. We go back to the investors and we tailor the products according to their needs. If you take, there are a lot of SIPs which is happening in the market. SIP was just a product which launched around 15, 20 years back. But now you see that SIPs have a lot of splits. When the market goes up, you wanted to invest more. When the market comes down, you wanted to invest more at that particular day. When it goes up, you have to do a little bit less because you don't want to lose on that. So that type customers we understand, we try to acquire them kind of thing. And apart from that, our model is majorly, it is like a B2B, it plays a very big role. We have approximately 1 lakh plus agents, IFAs, which has been registered with AMFI. Out of this, around 60,000 IFAs actively work for us. Mm-hmm. So they are the major, people who go and acquire the clients. When it comes to the direct business, it's only 20%, even though the direct business, we get a lot of incentives for the clients. But that is not, not much penetrated into that. So the acquisition which today is happening is through the website, omni-channels, and through now fintechs are helping us a lot actually. When you take Zeroras or Grow and all, they are helping us to get more customers actually. So that's the major thing which we look as an AMC. We depend on these factors, but majorly on IFAs, banks, other channels do most of the business for us.
Thank you. But in terms of the entry barrier, for a, let's say, I know it goes through a lot of channels, while the acquisition through a direct channel might be still at the, infant stage. We still heavily depend on our channel partners to get the acquisition done. In terms of the entry barrier, to really make your product as an AMC product stand out, curating that product for a particular person, what according to you is the biggest challenge in that entry barrier?
So the bigger challenge for creating this thing is that, most of the investors have different mindsets kind of thing. Like you asked me that someone wanted to, their future plans are totally different. Someone wanted to buy a house in 10 years. Someone wanted to have their investments done for their daughter's marriage. So majorly this all blank projects which, products which we do. So SIPs helps a lot in that. So the entry barrier when it comes to understand the customer needs is majorly done by this predictive analysis which we do. That means how much time this person is invested with us. Whether he is invested with us for 5 years or 10 years. So what is that investments grown in this 5 years to 10 years? We make an example actually. Then we go to the market. We just make these things available to the distributors, how many investors invested. That is all through marketing, which kind of thing. Like. So that helps us a lot to get more investors to us actually. And AMFI is also helping us to, with a lot of campaigns, to make awareness across the market actually. So that is also helping us.
Thank you. To you, Hari, I purchase a car. I am bound to my car for the next 5 years. I know that I have to insure my car for the next 5 years. year on year, for me, it's a price point war. No, I mean, how do you manage that?
Yeah, in fact, that's a very good question, and I am from the general insurance space. In fact, you buy a car and you hardly know also about what insurance company that you bought it from, because the car seller itself packages the insurance along with that and sort of like gives it as a part of the car price, that this is something bundled. And in fact, he'll have 8 to 10 insurance companies pro formas lined up with him, and he'll see which one to print on that day and to give them. Now there, the insurer has to look at ways to make an inroad, to make his leg inside the door and to be there with the customer. So the journey of renewal or to be related with the customer starts at the time of the purchase itself. And there in particular at Generali, we are looking at a lifetime partnership. Now lifetime partnership has various tenets, and one of it is to provide an effortless and caring experience. The second, to personalize the value proposition. So that is a very important portion, I would say, the second one, the personalization of the value proposition. Now the product, okay, it was deep tariff, the motor product, and is very standard across everywhere. Competition is too high. I mean, discounts raising from 70 to 80%. And even if your driving behavior is good, that is, you are getting the no claim bonus, then everyone is bound to give the same thing. So where insurers are now innovating, and then again, it's there in everyone's product. How to get a hook there is perhaps, you give him a no claim bonus protection for maybe 2 claims or so. Now this is over and beyond what is there from the regulatory aspect. But since you are giving this from your side, that's something he has to return to you for, because this is something that is unique to you. So that's on the car side. Or on the health side, similarly, I mean, maybe you have to give him the certain number of addition to his sum insured or cumulative bonus, but something related to his behavior, like he's a fit person who is running and who is actually given an app where he can record his activities. And those fitness activities which are like making him a lesser candidate for claiming are getting recorded, but recorded in the insurer system, which he can enjoy only the benefit with them, because that is the uniqueness of the product. So by doing a uniqueness of the product is something that you can tie the customer to, apart from what is all prevalent in the market. That is one inroad or one way of like tangoing with the customer for a lifetime.
You know, interestingly, I don't know if you all of us remember this. Maybe a few years ago, not so long ago, we had this joke on WhatsApp. It was an audio video kind of a joke where this guy calls up, I think it was Domino's or somebody else, okay, tries to order a pizza, and then Google or Siri or one of those people, she said, "Nah, sir, your diabetes is out of control. Don't order this." He said, "How do you know?" "No, because you ordered medicine from XYZ, etc., and then your wife called, etc." That also is a form of personalization. Coming back to you, Hari, this is going to become a reality in the near future. If not, how much of robot touch, how much of human touch will we look at? What are the digital or artificial trends that we're looking at?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming back again to me. So I don't know whether in the subconscious or it was my mind playing tricks. I was counting here how many people are around here in the conference while I was on the stage, and I counted some 40 plus people here. Now there was the COVID times, and if there is any meeting to be done or professionals to be brought, of course there was the webinar, Zoom meeting also happened. And then now things have opened back, and I hope there is no pandemic ever in our lifetimes at least. But people are coming to enjoy the company of each other, to talk to each other, maybe to enjoy the lunch offered as a part of the conference, but to exchange or spark those ideas, which in a personal one-to-one conversation has that much value when you are seeing someone else. And I'm imagining, of course, webinars have their value, or the session, same thing, called over Zoom has the value, but typically the speaker there is the one who is like totally switched on, and others are maybe subconsciously switched off, or something is registering, unless it is something very compelling in content. So if history is to be seen or recent example is to be seen, then that risk of becoming only our avatars and not being physically present is not there, because we are also physical beings, and that personalization itself is coming from the word person, and there are two persons over there, not only the person who is being served, but someone who is going to serve. So I see that great strides in technology will continue, but it will continue and still offer the opportunity for the human to human interaction. Coming to trends, I'll not say like fashion trends, they are whether to stay or not to stay, but some great things are already happening, and I see these things would be built upon or leveraged not only by BFSI but all sectors. And the first of this, I think, which has evolved in various modes, is video. So video, when any BFSI or any company was using initially, was for either advertising or for sending a message or educating, and now the usage of this is expanding further. For example, now you have the streaming video. We were talking about webinars. So in our servicing, when thanks you bought the car with us, and I want to continue with you. So we are able to, I mean, God forbid if there is any claim, adjudicate your claim over a streaming video and offer settlement over there. Of course, it has to be a certain value claim, not a very high value claim where a dismantling of the car or so is required. That's one usage of video. Further personalization, I mean, your renewal is up and you are due. You may receive an email or someone may still send you the old inland letter, but a video pops up announcing your name because that database of the name is there, and we have good AI tools which can do the text to voice, and which can give the correct pronunciation, maybe of even the difficult long names. So video as a way of personalization to address spark interest, and even in that video to have further interactive modes where you would have sections or channels. You can choose how much of that to see and what sections to see instead of going through a long video of 5 to 7 minutes, which is totally non-customized. But to see that, okay, this is the portion I want to see. For my car insurance, I want to see what are the add-on benefits, and I want to see that. Or other channels of communication, I see, sorry, email is something which will certainly keep going down. We have apps of all the insurance providers, of the bank providers, but like one app which is like sort of all prevalent and like a super app, the WhatsApp, and of course it has some risks also, but the open rates, the read rates on WhatsApp are certainly much better than email. I don't know how often we are seeing our personal emails, which has got like maybe 50 spams to 2 contents from someone whom I really want to read. So the way of like sending policy documents, the way of sending the renewal, or the way of serving everything over a period is going to move to these interactive modes. And all of this will be then leveraged together with AI modes. So AI, of course, in the sense like when you are interacting, you have your servicing also over there. And not only the one-way communication where you are sending one communication to be consumed, but the customer can, for example, register his claim, check his status. So the option is there that whether you are going to develop on market platforms like WhatsApp, or you are going to be there. Of course, you will have your standalone platform like a mobile app or so. But how much the customer will come to it if he has a usage maybe once a year or so is to be seen. So these are certainly trends which are already happening and which will continue to be leveraged further, and everyone will continue to rush to have their share of pie in that or their finger in that. So these are some things I see happening.
Thank you. And it's interesting that you spoke about channel, and Shiv, I want to come back to you about, channels as a strategy. But before I do that, and because I have the platform with me and the license to speak, let me be a little wicked. Metaverse, to stay, not to stay, have you created an avatar? Do you think the second life from 2004, 2005, metaverse is nothing but just a replicating? People are actually moving off metaverse. Is that something that we can look at in terms of hyper-personalization? Are brands really looking at metaverse? Should you be part of metaverse? I just want a general show of hands if people think that metaverse is going to add value to our buyer as a life? Any just show of hands if you think metaverse is going to be there, not there? Anyone? Any point of view? Well, if not, keeping metaverse in mind and other channels that Hari spoke about, Shiv, in terms of strategy for the channels, acquisition, servicing, growth, loyalty, what is your point of view? How can we look at that to hyper-personalize experiences?
Okay. So I will speak about the customer experience a lot actually when it comes to the customer needs are changing. Okay. So when I started my career, I'm sorry to take you back 20-25 years back, the communication 99% used to be through inline letters or anything like. So 15 days wait for getting a communication, a confirmation for anything was okay at that time. So today, if you don't respond to an investor, probably within a 1 hour or 2 hour time after an email, they start sending reminders. So I see a trend of people becoming, even though it's a very small thing, I'm sorry to say that, but people are becoming more and more impatient because the nature they grown up actually. If you see this today's generation kind of thing, like they have got everything in their hand. When it comes to an investing or when it comes to customer experience also the same thing is happening. The customer needs are changing drastically. You cannot imagine that even 1 or 2 days delay can go up to the MD, CEO escalations and everything happens and all. So how do we serve them better? How do we give them the details instantly? That is as a strategy which we looked into. So when we started around 6 to 7 years back, our self-service percentage was not even 10%. So we are worked upon a lot of technologies, AI-based technologies, coming out with website, mobile app. As we said, you can log in any complaints, you get the instant alert, and all these things used to happen. But WhatsApp helped a lot. As a strategy, we did it around 2.5 years back. Today, approximately 65% of my interactions are happening through WhatsApp. No one is touching that, no human intervention, it's happening instantly. And almost 96 to 97% of my interactions happening as first-time resolution. So once you call or once you get into my contact center or to any other branches, your case is closed. 96% is getting closed. So that is the thing which we looked into. So when it comes to AI-based replaying chats and all these things, again, they have a lot of disadvantages today also because someone has to go to the system and understand and respond. So that cases are taking a little bit of time. Otherwise, we are looking forward to reach to up to at least 80%, AI-based interactions. That is what our strategy when it comes to servicing. So as you asked, metaverse and all the things, there's a certain banks in the US and all already started that. So how far it is going to help the Indian, scenario, I am still, because it is going to take at least another 2 to 3 years time actually. So we are not thought much on that metaverse kind of thing when it comes to strategy for mutual funds. And to be very frank, out of these retail investors, which are the mutual funds, our, the spread is, there is a person who is selling tea in the market is also an investor for us, or a person who is a CEO of a company is also a market for us. So how much percentage of the people is going to use the technology which you are doing it? So that is the biggest question. Then we analyze that, actually, whether it is worthwhile in investing any of the technology and what is the usage of that. So each and every organization has to look into that cost aspect also. So as a strategy, WhatsApp is one of the cheapest thing which we are doing it and everyone is using it. And now it is gaining more this thing. We have approximately 30 services running on WhatsApp every day. And we get almost 6,000 to 7,000 hits in a day. And we have not found anything which is, not helping us. So that is a strategy which we use. And, metaverse, to be very frank, another 2 or 3 years, it becomes part, someone will come out with that type of things, then we will also look into. But now we are not taught anything on that.
So the back-end machinery that powers your interactions on WhatsApp is still human?
No, it is AI based.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And this AI-based machinery that you have, that powers your interaction, is based on the entire data set that you have.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Hari, a certain while ago, advocated about finally we are people.
Yeah.
A person likes to speak to a person.
Right.
In our mind, through our biases, when I know that I'm speaking to a computer,
Yeah.
does it really, and I'm asking this to all four of you in fact, does it change your perception? Does it change the customer's perception as against speaking to a person? Is he more comfortable speaking to a person, or is he more comfortable, and please excuse me if I'm using he as a general colloquialism, or speaking to a computer?
Of course, speaking to a person always give you a comfort actually. Okay, you will always feel that okay, I'm speaking. Then emotionally attachment, and if you say that sympathy, empathy, which comes in when we speak about anything, when you are interacting with a human, that computers cannot replace actually. That is one thing which everyone will agree upon that. But there are systems which is we are also working with voice bot services and email also. There is an email bot that anyhow they will not know actually who has written this mail, is whether it's written by a bot or it is written by a human, that's okay. But when it comes to a contact center, we are also working with a voice bot. There are certain voice bots which gives that opposite person doesn't know whether they are speaking to a computer or a human. So the technology is advanced that much. So that is going to get us leverage on that. So again, out of that 10 interactions which comes in, we know that okay, these interactions cannot be serviced by a bot or anything, then it automatically gets into the queue of the agents which is managing it, then a human gets into. So that percentage has to be at least 20% in another 3-4 years. So we are approximately 40% now. We want to add another 20% into that.
I want to understand from Amlan the advancement that he's talking about, AI. Real life example, auto loan, vehicle loan, car loan, full confusion. My bank could not. For a particular term, auto loan, it responded. When I said car loan, zilch. Vehicle loan, zilch. We're talking about advancements. And I'm not talking like 2018-19, I'm talking about 2021-22. Our version of AI, when I say our version of AI, the AI that we are used to, the Siris, the Evas, the Google Ranis, etc., that we are used to, are based on the data that we have prevalent within the market. What, according to you, is going to be the disruptor, or that one point, okay, which will completely change the AI game for us in the finance industry?
See, to answer that question, I'll answer it in two parts. One, intelligence is always very appreciative. So I'm a big fan of intelligence, whether it's natural or artificial, come what may. But with natural intelligence, there is a problem that it is limited. It cannot be procured. Artificial intelligence can be procured. So what you're talking about is right, because that's where the differentiator comes. Artificial intelligence is trained by human intelligence or natural intelligence. The more you train it, the better it is. So when we are giving them scenarios, when the artificial intelligence is built, the more dynamic we make it, the easier it is for the person to understand. The difference, see, we earlier had Google search and everything, but the differentiator that ChatGPT has brought in is that its understanding power of colloquial language is higher than any other tool. So you give it, it will go to the web, it will find everything, it will compile together and throw it back to you. 95% of the time I have myself been a user of ChatGPT, I have been working drastically on that. It gives you something close to what? A very layman example, like you gave about car loan. If you have to go via a train from Bandra to, let's say, Indore, earlier, what you used to do is go to a railway website, make my trip, something like that, search for the trains, figure out a train this time, that time, availability and all. You give this similar instruction to ChatGPT, want to travel from Bandra to Indore via train. It will give you the entire chart of the trains that run. It can also go to one level higher and also tell you availability, if it has been trained in that manner. So what the artificial intelligence disruption would be more and easily communication possible artificial intelligence tool. Because if I have to communicate, the biggest problem of me as an individual communicating with the system is I don't know a programming language. Imagine if the computer understood that I just type in, prepare a balance sheet of the available data, and it gives me a balance sheet without having to have a tally or in place or Navision in place, any other tool in place. That would have that would have been the easiest thing that I could have done. So the more you make it colloquial, the more you make it easier to understand, that will be the disruption.
All this is based on data.
Exactly, because data, that's what the food for AI is.
So the amount of data that ChatGPT, Bard, etc. have to peruse through to understand or to have a conversation with us is based on the data that we have in many ways contributed to the entire internet. My question to Srivaths now, in fact, is about where does personalization stop? Where does intrusion begin?
So if you look at use cases, the moment you say personality and personalization, right, the first thing that comes into mind is use cases, which means one size does not fit for all. So there has to be a balance between understanding the personality and bringing a combination of interactive or customer experience, either digital or physical or digital. It's very clear. So India is a very diversified country. You've got more than 24 languages, 13 preferred languages when it comes for any product interactions. So you need to understand the personality also differs in terms of all these three areas which I said from age group. The millennium interaction is very, very different from the interaction of people from age group of 35 to 45 and 45 to 65 and 65 plus. There are certain products which has come into the market, like WhatsApp you have said, which has cut across due to its ease of use across the age group. The adoption has been very easier. But will the other technology products and services will be same for each of this personality? Definitely not. If you go to a 23-year-old today and say that you want to invest in insurance or say mutual funds, his first preference will be to buy his first bike or a car or a home, or not even a home. If you go and talk to about 35 to 45-year-old guy, his first preference will be probably to get his first home, second home, and then go for a mutual funds. So each personality has got their own aspiration and ambition. The problem that we have got is with the limited data that we have got, we try to personalize and create a product and force fit. That's the biggest problem. We must understand that, see, we are the India's largest rural fintech organization, which gives a B2B platform to 1.2 million merchants to serve to the end consumers. Now, why have we done this? Can we go to the 61% of the population which is in rural India? You have constraints. What is the constraints? The first constraint is your smartphone penetration. Second constraint is understanding the app's usage of app. Third constraint is regional languages available. Most of the apps are in English and Hindi. Regional touch is not there. Third is they are used to trust. The trust comes from personalization in terms of walk-in. So these merchant points are the area which are spread across 5 kilometers radius where your customers walk in and he has a trust with those merchants who are there in those locations. So do they have an opportunity of cross-sell and upsell, opportunity of financial services products? Yes, they do have. So to answer your question, the intrusion becomes neutralized when you bring the element of trust. And the element of trust comes when you coin your interaction with the according to the personality, according to the religion. It's far more complex for India. So suddenly, for example, if I say that I take omni-channel communication, what we do, we over-personalize it and we bombard it to everyone across all the states and all the cities in India. It's not going to work. It's going to fall apart. 3 calls, IVR, we block it. SMS, we have stopped looking at it. WhatsApp spamming, you go and you can block it. So if you have an alternative blocking mechanism, 80% of these channels are blocked today. So you need to have a fine balance to understand basis the personality, basis the age group, basis the data understanding that you've got, what is the kind of interactive you have to do. So if a customer who is probably 65 plus years old, he doesn't want to understand things in WhatsApp, you want to walk into the store and do his purchase, give him that option. You need to have an alternative option. A person who is 23-year-old doesn't want to visit any bank branches, doesn't want to fill in checkbook, he wants to use UPI for transaction, open bank account in 5 minutes, give him that option. So the point which I'm trying to say here is one stop doesn't fit all. You need to have this multiple ecosystem build that you need to do. One cannot take the other one. All that you have to do is keep the data in the center. And when you keep the data in the center, you need to understand what is the preferred channel of mode, communication, and consumption of your customer. Once you analyze this, accordingly connect back to them. And that's where the privacy distinction between privacy and personalization also comes in. Because when you take data, it has to be basis consent architecture. You cannot just send them WhatsApp, send them survey, take the information. So consent-based architecture is not only a sense of responsibility that we need to fill in, but it's also regulatorily mandatory nowadays. So when you build your combination of consent-based architecture, right technology platform, right personalization, respect of privacy, collection of right data, right KYC, right eKYC, and then presenting the product suites in terms of this is their consumption pattern, either be financial or non-financial products, it becomes a smooth sail. That's how we can operate in India.
Hari, your thought on this?
Yeah. So I was just again thinking about that, not only data, of course. ChatGPT, I'm sure everyone in this room would have tried various things. I saw where it succeeded is where the information is easily available, where you are asking maybe about public personalities. But if it is coming to something like which is remote or which is more linked to Facebook kind of information or LinkedIn kind of information, that databases they have not yet reached or that richness, which maybe Google is still able to offer till the last mile, even somewhat like a layman person you search by the name, they are able to give that. So database, no doubt, is going to be an important aspect. Language, like Amlan said, is going to be the medium to bridge the gap between what the tech guy's language is there to the normal human being's language. But on the side of like use cases or the person to whom to aim to, what Srivaths was sharing, one thing which will come up, and because people need people, is these technologies will empower the intermediaries, the workforces to be able to serve better. So a human being feels more comfortable with a human being maybe at the time of advisory or at the time of negotiation. But that advisor or that negotiator who is to advise on various plans may not be able to memorize or by heart all the things or in which situation to give better advice. But he is armed with this tool, which is his knowledge base or other ways to ask questions in a layman language, and he is now offering the advisory. So the artificial intelligence is aiding the human to serve the humans. So this case will continue to develop much more, and particularly with insurance where it is B2C and the person trusts another person and they want a person to catch when things go wrong or when the claim is to be processed. This is going to be an important aspect. So that I feel is how the use cases would have to be built. Like, is it something very transactional? Is it something where he doesn't really need to break his head? He wants it to be just done and off with, something like a simple correction in the name or something like a change in something which was a mistake. Then certainly AI use cases must be there. A case where he really is himself not sure, where he wants to ponder. Okay, your AI may be able to give 3 to 5 options, but that may confuse him even more. A human who can say that I understand your situation and gives a particular recommendation, telling that this is your life situation, that's why I particularly say this, that will be helpful. So that's how the bridging of the gap will happen, and AI will be used to enable the workforces and intermediaries to serve the customers.
Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Majorly, I'm taking the cue from both of them. Of course, if you see that last 5 years or 7 years, now post-COVID, the technology used, maybe before post-COVID, the working scenario is also getting changed actually. Like, if you take most of the banks, like if you take our bank also, go into a hybrid model. So the people, most of the places started working from homes and all these things. So now the technology plays a bigger role. When we see that human touch, it is not possible for small players who is coming into the market to put an infrastructure and to have an office in every location, and someone comes and speaks to them personally. So this is becoming a very cost-oriented method as of now when you compare with the previous time. So no one wanted to invest that much heavy on infrastructure. So a hybrid model is helping out. How the hybrid model is helping out is just because we have all the technologies in place. Whether I have to service a person sitting here in Ahmedabad or Aurangabad, I can do it within a click of seconds. So you don't have an office that person can go there. Out of out of 100 people, probably 1 or 2 might be looking for going and visiting and speaking to that person. So that AIs are going to play a bigger role when it comes. Then, as we said metaverse and other things. For the people who are really going to use it, is going to help them. But otherwise, this type of technologies, which I've said WhatsApp or any other technologies or email bot or a voice bot, is going to help the people to serve the customers, end customers, in a much better way and very quickly also. This also adding to customer satisfaction into a different level. If I am just asking some questions today to any organization, if I wanted to get some service from the organization, in a matter of 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I am getting it today. If it is a similar thing which we used to do earlier, it used to be 1 or 2 days kind of thing like. So this is going to help us, and in the financial service industry also going forward in another 5 years or 10 years, it is going to be really going to help us actually. So AI going to be there and is going to help any industries which is coming in to serve the customers in a better way and also increase the profitability. So the cost which I am inputting on a human being and to a technology is a one-time cost, then you are an additional cost. But it is not like that with the human beings. There are a lot of things has to be taken. To give an example, our contact center was always having around 150 people for inbound calls. After introduction of this artificial intelligence based services, we run the contact center with 50 people now. We reduced 100 seats in the last 2 to 3 years. So that is the benefit the organizations also gets in. So organizations really look into the data and understand the pattern of the investor queries and complaints which is coming in, what type of investors, why they need the personalization, and to work on such things. That will really help everyone.
Very interesting. And one funny incident, when Srivaths and I were working together, this is like 23 years ago, we were working serving the UK geography, and one of our team members, she could not pronounce, I don't know if you remember this, she could not pronounce one of those Eastern European last names, and she struggled, poor thing. She gave up finally, and she said, as against calling him Mr. and trying to attempt his last name, she said, "May I please call you uncle?" I mean, out of the culture that we have, out of the upbringing that we have, she said, anybody who's elder to us in India, we call them uncle, auntie, etc. We seldom call them Mr. this, Mr. that, etc. That level of culture change, empathy, etc., okay, is one of the key things about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is as much about understanding the customer as much as it is about data. Data will be available. ChatGPT today provides you data up until September 2021. I don't know if you've noticed this. If you ask for a point of view, or even simple things like Messi or Ronaldo, it will give you from data for up to September 2021. Data will be available. Can we use that data? Can we use something like an AI to actually replace a human? Okay, is something that we need to see. How will that be driven? Some parting key messages, Amlan, on this?
While you were just speaking, I recollected my early days of working when I was working for a company and supporting the North American customers. And where the human culture comes into place was, one of my team members was on a call with a middle-aged lady out there, and there was a kid behind who was constantly crying. And this gentleman of my team, he understood that, okay, the lady is struggling between the kid and the bank. So he said at that time, AHT was something that was like so close to our hearts that breaching the AHT was the biggest sin in the BPO industry.
Sorry, for anybody who does not understand AHT stands for average handling time, and this is a very common contact center parlance. Sorry, yeah.
So this gentleman, understanding that this will blow up my AHT to the roof, he said that, "Madam, I am okay to hold." She said, "No, the call get disconnected, it will be again through that IVR, and I'm talking about 2000 IVR, which was like dial 1, dial 2, and that horrendous episode of entire IVR flow." So he said that no, I'll be holding on to the call. I'll not be disconnecting. You can take care of the kid, calm him down, come back, and you'll still find me back on the call. And to my fortune, that call was monitored by the client from abroad. And we get a commendation card for that gentleman and for our process over here in India, stating that this was not something that we have seen so far. So, coming to the point, artificial intelligence can give you anecdotes, can give you accurate information to the last mile, but the human touch or getting the empathy into it, I'm not sure when AI would be developed in that fashion where it can get in the empathy place. That's where human will define itself or prove itself higher to AI. In any other place, AI would definitely beat human. It's only the psychology, the empathy, the human touch that we will have to have through a human itself, as on today.
Last comment, Srivaths. Will AI be synonymous to hyper-personalization?
It's too early because it has got too much of dependencies because one, as you rightly said, it needs then current data. Second, it requires the right set of conversations in the language in which the consumer understands. Third, it cannot have predictability because human brains are quite complex with a lot of emotions and a lot of psychological impacts which AI definitely cannot overcome. It doesn't understand emotions so easily. And emotions also differs from region to region, people to people, person to person, and so too complex a study. The best suited is AI is best for being used for predictable kind of conversations and restrict itself for the predictable conversations.
Well, thank you so much.